Man, I don't know about you, but I really don't remember another season where the Western Conference is so up for grabs. I really don't feel confident picking a team from the West to win it all this year. And despite the Denver Nuggets sitting on the top of the standings in the West, there have been a lot of doubts about their ability to get to the finals, yet alone win it all. Now, every team has their big flaws, and that definitely will show up in the playoffs. One thing I'm not going to mention here is health. Assuming teams are, for the most part, healthy, these are the issues that might stop them from coming out of the West. But before we begin, it will really mean a lot to me if you took a quick second to smash that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel and help us reach 500 subscribers. Now, we will be giving away a $100 Amazon gift card to a random member of our community. All you have to do is just subscribe and you're pretty much in. Now back to the video. Let's take a look at the number 1 seed, the Denver Nuggets. Their issue, the pick and roll defense. Now, the Nuggets are the most disrespected number 1 seed in the history of the NBA. Case in point, the 4th seed Phoenix Suns has the best odds to come out of the West, and the Warriors are second. One reason to be concerned about the Nuggets in the playoffs is their defense, specifically their pick and roll defense. I mean, this is going to be problematic for them. Teams will put Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in ball screen actions, forcing them to defend. As teams prepare for the Nuggets, they will look to put them in pick and roll situations. Not every team can obviously take advantage of that weakness, but the ones that can, they certainly will give the Denver Nuggets a very difficult time. It will be critical for Mike Malone and his staff to come up with a defensive game plan that will keep Jokic and Murray out of bad matchups in those series. How well the Nuggets defend the pick and roll will be a deciding factor in how far they go in the playoffs. The number 2 seed, the Memphis Grizzlies. Their issue, half-court offense. It has been a crazy end of the season for the Memphis Grizzlies with injuries and suspensions, but they did finish second in the West. Still, it's not clear when Steven Adams will come back. I mean, if at all. Meanwhile, Brandon Clark, he's out for the year with a torn Achilles. So the biggest concern for the Grizzlies is their half-court offense. It still surprises me that a team with Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, and Desmond Bane is not a good half-court team. Now, part of their struggles in the half-court is poor three-point shooting. Memphis shoots 35% from the three-point, and that's 23rd ranked in the league. To address the issues, the Grizzlies did get Luke Kennard at the trade deadline, and since the All-Star break, their percentage has improved a little bit, but it still might not be enough in the playoffs. Think about it this way. In the playoffs, the game slows down, and playing out of the half-court becomes extremely important. The Grizzlies will need to figure out how to grind out possessions to get out of the West. The number 3 seed, the Sacramento Kings. Their issue, consecutive stops. First, salute to the Kings for making the playoffs. It's been almost 16 years since they last made it to the postseason, so that's what's up. Now let's get to the big issue for the Kings in the playoffs. Now, it is well known that they are a bad defensive team. But what's even worse is they can't get back-to-back stops. The Kings have the worst defensive rating of any team in the playoffs. Making consecutive stops can decide a game. A great example is Sacramento's game against the Bucks on March 13th. It was a 2-point game with less than 4 minutes left, and the Bucks scored on 6 straight possessions to pick up the win. Playing great defense stops teams from going on big runs, and the Kings might struggle to do just that. Now, the Sacramento Kings offense, it really is explosive and really tough to stop. And that's how they jump to the 3rd in the West. But come playoff time, man, their defense will have to catch up to their offense by getting back-to-back stops. The 4th seed, Phoenix Suns, their issue, no bench. The Suns made the biggest splash at the trade deadline by getting Kevin Durant, but it came at a huge cost. Yep, the cost was they had to give up some good role players. Now, the Suns are a top-heavy team. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul are the obvious starters and crunch time players. But the question is, who is the 5th? Monty Williams has to piece together a rotation with leftovers like Landry Shamet, Torrey Craig, Josh Okogie, TJ Warren, Terrence Ross, and Cameron Payne. There is an open competition for that 5th spot. It would all come down to who can keep the court spread with their shooting and not be a defensive liability. So far, Okogie has started with the core 4. And the Suns have played only 8 games with this starting lineup though. And that might not be enough even to develop the needed chemistry that they will have to have down the stretch. Now, if the Suns fail to come out of the West, it would be because they could not fill the 5th spot in their key lineups. Simple as that. The 5th seed, the LA Clippers. Their issue, rotation. No team has cared so much less about the regular season this year and kind of over the past few years than the Clippers. That has come at a huge cost to the team and most importantly to the players, man. The Clippers have run through 30 lineups this season. So many changes make it difficult for players to, one, know their role, and two, create great chemistry. There were a lot of reasons for the shifts, from load management to injuries to coaches' decisions. Every time it looked like the Clippers were settled into a groove, something would kind of happen. The most recent is Paul George's injury, which forced a new rotation. But it looks like Tyronn Lue has found a rotation heading into the playoffs, though it will change if Paul George actually comes back. There has been way too many games this season where it felt like the Clippers were just 5 people playing pickup basketball. So much movement in the rotations put them in a very difficult position for the playoffs. I'm telling y'all, man, chemistry is critical to success in the NBA. The 6th seed, the Golden State Warriors. Their issue, turnovers, and they're just simply bad on the road. Now, the Golden State Warriors have been just bad on the road this season, like I said, but that may not be their biggest problem. The problem for the Warriors is turnovers. They rank 30th in the NBA, just behind the god-awful Houston Rockets. Too many turnovers has not been an issue in the past for the Warriors, as this season is the highest average of the Steve Kerr era. Their opponents are scoring almost 20 points per game off those turnovers. The Warriors defense is just not good enough to overcome so many bad possessions. A lot of the turnovers are, let's call it for what it is, just sloppy, like the behind the back passes that go out of bounds. Now get this, at home, the Warriors average 15 turnovers per game, while they average 17 on the road. Now those are not good numbers, but fewer turnovers make a big difference. In the playoffs, each possession is critical, and throwing them away is a recipe for disaster and early elimination. The 7th seed, the Los Angeles Lakers. Their issue, consistent shooting. Before the trade deadline, the Lakers were a poor shooting team. They were just 26th in 3-point shooting. But to their credit, they made some moves before the trade deadline, bringing in D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley, but shooting is still was kind of holding the Lakers back. Adding good shooters, now that was a good start for them, but they need those shooters to hit shots. Since the trade deadline, the Lakers have improved as a 3-point shooting team. They rank about 16th. Now that's just below league average. D'Lo can catch fire from deep. He has had games where he can hit 5 or 6 threes, but they're also nice where he goes 3 for 11 from 3-point, as he did in an embarrassing loss to the Houston Rockets. And Malik Beasley is just as inconsistent. He had a 6 of 13 3-point game against the Chicago Bulls, and then he followed up with a 6 for 18 performance over the next 4 games. Now that won't get it done in the playoffs. In fact, he's shooting worse from 3 as a Laker than he did with the Utah Jazz. Bottom line, the Lakers, they need shooters to hit shots. And that's going to create space for AD and LeBron to go to work. It's just simple as that. If the Lakers aren't shooting well in the playoffs, let's keep it real. It could be a wrap for them. The number 8 seed, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Their issue is consistency. It has been really hard for the Timberwolves to be consistent. The T-Wolves struggled from the start while working Rudy Gobert into the core of Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and prior to trading D'Angelo Russell. Then Cat got injured, and the Wolves brought in Mike Conley, and they slowly found some kind of rhythm. Now Cat is back, and the Wolves are in the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row. However, all season long, the T-Wolves have been taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Almost every winning streak beyond 2 games was followed with a losing streak. Most recently, they had a successful 4-game stretch from March 20th to the 27th, and then they followed up with a 3-game losing streak. The Wolves have struggled all year long with players in and out of the lineup because of injuries, trades, and rotation issues. That has led to inconsistencies on the court, which could come back to haunt them in the playoffs. If I had to put my money on it right now today, I would almost have to bet for an Eastern Conference team to win the championship this year. That's all, folks. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and leave your comments below. Peace.